This meeting is called to order in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Law. In accordance with Chapter 231 of the Public Laws of 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided. This meeting of June 16th, 2025 was published in the Courier News and Star Ledger and placed on the borough's website and bulletin board at Borough Hall. A copy of this notice is available to the public, and a copy of the statement shall be included in the minutes of this meeting. Mayor Brian Gallagher.
Here.
Council members Teresa Bonner.
Here.
Andrew Conti.
Here.
Glenn Denny.
Here.
Randy Pitts.
Here.
Gina Stravic.
Here.
Roger Vroom.
Here.
All right, please stand for the pledge, and please remain standing afterwards. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm just going to ask for a moment of silence. A gentleman who was a fixture in Somerville for many, many years, Anthony Colalillo, otherwise known as Tony the Barber. He was down on East Main Street. He opened his store in Somerville in 1971, and he worked cutting hair until 2020 when COVID forced him to close. And it's just a wonderful, he was a gentleman and a gentleman. You know, if you went in there, you remember the hot lather shaves and the straight edge razor, or as a kid, if you went in, you got the lollipop at the tail end of a great haircut. But literally generations of people went into that store. And if I'm not mistaken, it was $10.50 during the week and $12.50 on weekends for a haircut, and that was up to 2020. So Tony's going to be missed, so I just ask for a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay, can I have a motion for the approval of the minutes of May 19 and June 2nd?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Council members Teresa Bonner.
Abstain for May 19th, yes for June 2nd.
Thank you. Andrew Conti.
Yes.
Glenn Denny.
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
Gina Stravic.
Yes.
Roger Vroom.
Yes.
Okay, departmental reports and notices are as listed. Next up, we have a proclamation for LGBT Pride Month. And I understand we have some representatives from MAVE here that would like to accept. So, and Teresa, as a part of MAVE, if you would join us down. How you doing? Good. Thumbs up? No? There we go. Okay. All right, so I have a proclamation here in honor of Pride Month. And this is recognizing June 2025 as LGBTQ Pride Month in the Borough of Somerville. Whereas our nation was founded on the principle of equal rights for all people, but the fulfillment of this promise has been long forthcoming for many Americans, and some of the most inspiring moments in our history have arisen for the various civil rights movements that have brought one group after another from the margins of the mainstream of American society. And whereas in the movement toward equal rights for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people, a historic turning point occurred on June 28, 1969, in New York City with the onset of the Stonewall riots. And during these riots, LGBT citizens rose up and fought against the discriminatory criminal laws that have since been declared unconstitutional. And whereas LGBT pride celebrations have taken place around the country every June to commemorate the beginning of the Stonewall riots, and whereas Somerville Borough is a diverse community that includes people of all ethnicities, religious backgrounds, social classes, and sexual affection, and whereas everyone should be able to live without fear of prejudice, discrimination, violence, and hatred based race, religion, gender identity, or sexual orientation. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Brian Gallagher, Mayor of the Borough of Somerville, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, joined with the Somerville Borough Council, hereby proclaim June 2025 as LGBT Pride Month in the Borough of Somerville, and urge all residents to respect and honor our diverse community and build a culture of inclusiveness and acceptance. Thank you, and thank you for coming out. So, come here, the three of you. You ready? There you go. Very official. There you go. You want to hold that? Hold that up for the camera. Well, they're up there.
There we go.
You did a great job. Awesome. Good work. Thank you. Thank you. And you're okay? You did? All right. Good. Thank you. Awesome. Yes. Thank you. Okay. Next up, we have a concept presentation by West Main Street, New Jersey LLC. They are the new owners of the Granites Building. The Granites Building is on West Main Street, right where it splits into Somerset and West End Avenue. It's a building that has been vacant for, oh gosh, how long, Colin? 5 years? There has been some activity at the site regarding potential sales, potential development of the project, and those had fallen through. A gentleman came to us not too long ago and indicated that he had just purchased it. And they are here tonight to present a concept drawing which actually saves the building, which is architecturally a beautiful building. It's a gateway, an icon for downtown Somerville. And they're here tonight, as they did with the planning board last week. They presented a concept to the planning board to kind of give us what their thoughts were for this project. And so they're here tonight. And Mr. Ogrodnik, if you could just introduce yourself and your team.
Thank you. My name is Mike Ogrodnik. I know many members of the Planning Board and the Board of Adjustment, but don't know if I've had the pleasure of being before this body for some time. I'm from the Savo-Schock law firm. We've been in Somerville for 99 years, going back to the 1926. We're here tonight on behalf of West Main Street, New Jersey LLC. If the board, or if the Township Council may recall, this property was subject to a prior application for rehabilitation and use change in the existing Granites Building in the B2 zoning district, where residential, retail, and office uses are permitted. The Granites Building was previously occupied by retail spaces on the ground floor, with 3 levels partially occupied by a dance studio, fencing studio, spa, driving school, and office space. Parking lot for the building is located to the southwest of the structure, with access to the surface lot provided via access off of New Street. There's also an additional lot in the northwest corner of Vet and New Street, with access provided on both of those frontages. The existing ground floor was previously proposed to be used as an adult senior care center. And one of the big changes with this application is that we removed that use. It would have been a use variance, and we're looking to continue the retail use on that front facade. This conceptual plan revises the uses on the first floor to be fully conforming with the B2 zoning district by proposing retail on that west main frontage, 5 residential units in the rear portion of the first floor, and all apartments on the 2nd through 4th floors. In total, this concept plan proposes 14 one-bedroom and 22 bedroom units with retail on the front elevation, consisting of 3,438 square feet of retail, a small leasing office, a building maintenance office, tenant amenity space, lobby with mail and package rooms, elevator, stairwell, and indoor refuse room. The attached building to the east elevation will remain retail in the front, and would have apartments, an apartment on the first level in the rear, and an apartment on the second and third floor. With me tonight, I have Joseph Fisher, our architect for Highland Arch Design, and to review the conceptual plan. And we'll be relatively brief tonight, just to go over some of the design elements and the floor plans, et cetera. Thank you.
If you just make sure your red light's on your microphone. There you go. Yep.
Hi, good evening. My name is Joseph Fisher. I'm the principal at High Arc Design, an architecture firm in Wall, New Jersey. The concept plan over here for 201 West Main Street, known as the Granite's Building, coming into to the town, this is the gateway. I mean, this is the building that you hit chance upon from the west portion. Part of this application, we want to maintain, retain, embrace rather than replace, and make sure that the history of the city and the icon of, if you wish, remains. And as such, part of the design that we were, the concept that we were proposing over here is to retain all those architectural detailing and elements that are in the building, and the visuals that the building, that post construction, the building will still retain that visible, and the sense of place, I guess, that the building itself evokes. As part of this proposal, we are proposing on the ground floor, as we mentioned, retail on the ground floor, and incorporating new elements that have a more contemporary nature on the ground floor, while the upper floors, all the detailing, all that remains, and the cornice gets tied in with the base and the cornice, just tie the whole project together to provide a visually pleasing building, and all the while retaining the history. We are also incorporating and proposing some new lighting. Again, that all this is going to bring the building to the next level, all the while retaining the history. Just as history until now, it's going to take us to the future, and it will remain the history of Somerville. So I'll point out some of these. Just be very brief and just point out what we are proposing over here. This is the existing building. You can see from the existing portion, we are retaining all these elements that are the cornice. It's all being retained, just being replaced, but not replaced. I shouldn't say that. It's being repainted in a new color, and the same thing is with all the elements on the upper floors, which is going to be become residential units in place of office that's there currently, or vacant offices. Along the ground floor, we are proposing the existing openings remain. We are opening along South Dowdy Street. There are existing windows there that are currently blocked, and we are proposing opening those up, so it brings back actually the old visuals, if you wish, but with a new flavor. So this is our proposed concept. And you can see from this that really the building really does retain the current elements, but it's just with a new feel. What we've also done is raised the center portion where we have the granite lofts over there, so the scale of the project becomes just more visibly pleasing. Along, as I mentioned, along South Dowdy, we did incorporate on the ground level along West Main Street, we have retail, and along South Dowdy, we are proposing some residential units, which those residential units are going to have access to individual access, so that itself is going to promote some more street traffic along South Dowdy. As you see, these windows right over here are actually just an infill of the existing, removing of the existing infill and replacing with new windows. But again, just, this is going to keep the flavor, keep the gateway, the feel, and it's just going to, I believe, be a visually pleasing and ultimately successful project, and for the good of the city. We are also proposing at the entrance incorporating some more elements, some more modern and contemporary elements aside from the coloring. And this, we're also some wood paneling and some sleek marquees over the entrances. Again, just giving it the more contemporary feel, and with a band in different color and black, just separating the residential, the ground floor versus the upper floors. Some more images, some night renderings. This is the existing view from West Main Street, and again, this is our proposed. What we are proposing, and I'm going to walk through briefly through the floor plan. What we are also proposing is on this smaller building to the right side, there's a 3-story building over there. What we are proposing over there is some retail on the ground floor, apartment in the back, and 2-bedroom duplexes, two 2-bedroom duplexes at this level, and the rest of them have a mixed, in the main building, it's a mix of 1 and 2-bedroom. Each of these units are tastefully thought out, they will be provided with washer dryer. There's going to be amenities within the building itself. And again, we do see this as it will be a successful project that will ultimately be an asset to the city, to the borough. So night rendering, and I guess I'll just walk you briefly through the floor plan. So this is the main entry along West Main Street. We are proposing a new entry to the left of that, but retaining the existing staircase and elevator shaft, so that nothing is going to change on the exterior. There is going to be, the blue is the retail spaces, and the yellow is 1-bedroom units, the pink is the 2-bedroom units, so we have a total of 5 units on the first floor. Going further to a typical floor plan, again, like I mentioned, each of these are going to have washer dryers. 2 bedrooms, we're proposing 2 bathrooms in there. We're really trying to make this into a good, viable, and it's not going to be a slumlord or anything like that. This is going to be really to the benefit of whoever is going to live here is going to appreciate it, what's going to be put in there. And having worked with the developer on some other projects, I know that he values that, and that's something that he will ensure. I don't know if you want me to. I know I've spoken last time. There was a question. Some of the other. There was a request for some other rehab, adaptive reuse projects. I don't know if it's something that we want. I have some quick. I'll just leaf through quickly
Sure.
through some of those, and then I guess. So this is a project that in Plainfield, New Jersey, where there was existing along East Front Street. I believe it was the existing, if I remember correctly, it was an existing Moshelle's. It was a Moshelle's general store. It was a large, like about 45,000 square foot on the second and third floor. So, and you can see that the building itself was not in a good condition when we've come in. These are the pictures that I took pre-construction. And what we've done is really try to make sure that we can keep the existing exterior and enhance. And change. This is a change of use. We successfully provided 35 units in here, and but all the while making sure that we retain the exterior. Just a little note over here on this left side and this corner, this building itself had, I mean, over the years, from all the different construction, it was covered, it was plastered in with some other infill and whatnot. What we've proposed is taking that off and really bringing back the beauty, which I'll show you an image soon. The conditions are far worse than what I've walked into the building over here. We had pigeons over there. I mean, the paint was peeling. Everything was just all over the place. And we've successfully been able to do that, and it's fully rented, I believe, at this point, and right away actually. And it's a successful project. Some of the images you can see over here this is actually during construction, but you can see that how we removed that covering that was there, and they replaced it. Really brought the beauty out of the project itself. Another project where this actually is not. I started my firm in 2019, pre-COVID, right when COVID hit, and then. But this is actually a project that I've worked on in my prior firm, but I've been heavily involved and actually did the design on all these projects. These are 30 and 40 Clinton in Newark. Again, this is the existing conditions. This is post-construction. We were able to, similar conditions as this, we were able to get 20 units in this building, all the while retaining the actual, the exterior. This is, 40 Clinton was, I believe it used to be the Seton Hall, if I remember correctly, in the early 1900s. This is a little different. It was a historic preservation, but again, we were able to get 28 units over here. This was a conversion from commercial, all the floors, and then we were able to get retail on the first floor, and then convert that to 28 units. Same thing. It's a little difficult. I'm sorry. I just took the Google images, but again, this is an East Orange, a conversion that we did for 29 units on the upper portion. Again, the same idea, keeping the exterior, keeping all the elements intact, and just making sure that, the beauty and the history is retained, and which is what we are trying to do in this project as well. Just going forward, this is actually a project that I've worked on with my client. It was completed in 2023, also in Plainfield. This is a ground-up project. I'm bringing these images over here just to show you, to make you understand. This is the type of the quality that we are expecting to see within the units itself. This is a 5-story, 23 unit building, mix of 1 and 2 residences. These are the renderings. These are the actual images, and the entry lobby, and then again, these are actual pictures of the units that are there currently. So, they didn't skimp on the finishes. They didn't skimp. They made sure they value and appreciate quality. This is another project that I have not been involved in, but this is another project that they've just put up in 2024, actually, also in Newark. I'm not exactly sure how many units, but again, the point is to the same, they do appreciate it, and they do, this is what we can expect in this project. Actually, as a matter of fact, I did do a link, just a quick one, if I can. I don't know if it's going to allow me to the developer's website. But this is actually on the what I said before, the first project that I brought up. These are actual images of the interior. From all those paint peeling, this is what we end up getting. We really got upper class, rentable units that were right away rented out. So, any
Very
questions? Feel free.
So, council, questions, comments?
Yes, I might have missed it, but. I may have missed it, but how many units are going to be in this?
Okay, so we
Living
have-
space, that is.
Yes, let me just pull this out. So we have a total of 34 units being proposed, and I just wanted to see the breakdown.
And how many of those will meet affordable housing requirements?
Whatever is necessary to, I'm gonna let you speak.
Yeah, we're gonna comply with the new ordinance.
Whatever will be necessary is gonna,
And what is affordable? What are those apartments renting for?
So the rates, and Mr. Cole can really dig into this deeper as a professional planner, but rates for affordable units are governed by the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls. So you have very low, you have low to moderate, and moderate units. I do a lot of eviction work for when these projects are built, and I can tell you roughly the 1-bedrooms for the lows are probably $800 a month. Then the low to moderates are probably in the $1,200 to $1,300 range, and then the moderate income qualified co-units are probably in the $1,700, $1,800 range. That's
And then
typical.
what are the non-affordable ones going to run for?
Market rate.
$3,000, is that what we're looking
the
at?
market will bear.
My competition across the street, the building next door, the Banner building.
Is your microphone on?
Yeah, there you go.
The competition next door, the new building, what's it called? I think they're
Edge.
getting 32, but that's a bigger building, so I'm probably gonna be a little less than them. That's a higher end building. It's 200 units, right? More gyms, more, so,
Thank you. Welcome to Somerville.
thank you.
Comments?
I do have a question. I know this, the history of this building is that it started as a chemical company and then changed over to another chemical company and then was another chemical company. So there's quite a concern from some of us in the historical committee about some of that historical environmental need for remediation potentially and all of that. Just want to make sure that your plans include addressing whatever it may be as required by the regulations for.
There is no question. There's no question about it that we will comply with all the concerns.
Great.
I'm sure there's going to be significant input that's going to have to be done over here.
Thank you.
Other comments?
Welcome to Somerville.
So, Glenn, anything?
I just want to say that the saving and preserving all the fenestrations above the windows and everything is, I think that's a home run as far as trying to keep the integrity of this building. I'm also glad that you kept the side building to the right and figured out a way to incorporate that. And at least in this rendering, that nice big oak tree is also intact off to the right there too, which if I had one of those apartments, I'd really be happy for that. So
We're not proposing removing that. It's just a rendering to show it.
Thank you. Again, and I spoke at length at the planning board over this. I think it's a wonderful project. I think it looks great. That's one of the first things people see when they hit downtown Somerville, and I think how you've treated it is very well. You've activated South Dowdy with entrances on the side street, which I think is extremely important. You've lit the building. I love buildings to be lit at night because especially on a building like this, because there's such beautiful detail in the architecture. Why not show it off? It looks great. Understanding that your commercial space, you've shortened some of you've made it less square footage, which I think is appropriate for today's needs in terms of retail. And I think you've done a great job. One of the questions I had asked at the planning board was, we know there's a whole lot of work before and after, but once approvals are, what's the construction time frame? What's the construction window to rehab? Roughly. We're not going to hold you to it.
Roughly.
Is it a year? Is it a year, 18 months?
Once we get them full permits,
Yeah.
between 9 and 12 months.
Okay. That's great. Good.
If the township plays ball.
You hear that, team? All right, but I want to thank you for coming. Thank you for investing in Somerville. It's a wonderful place to live. It's a wonderful place to do business, and we appreciate your investment, your private investment in our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, affordable housing. So we've gone through a number of presentations, and this is the culmination of it, just for the public's edification on what the final plan is. This was approved by the planning board at their last meeting. Subsequent to this meeting, it will then be filed with the state. We've spent a long time on this plan, and it's something that those folks that worked on this, and then ultimately the planning board, feel is right for Somerville. We crafted it so that it's not a cookie-cutter approach, which a lot of municipalities are doing. We took the time and made the effort to craft something that is specific for Somerville, that can flex with the needs of future governing bodies at that time. That doesn't mean diminishing the amount of affordable housing, but it creates different opportunities for affordable housing. And our team will go through that as they make their presentation. Chris Zangara, our redevelopment counsel, will kick it off with kind of the nuts and bolts from the legal perspective of this entire process, and then what is the process moving forward, really, from this point forward, once he files, I think, within 48 hours, roughly. And then Mike Cole will give us that overview of how we got to where we are and what encompasses the plan. And then Colin will boil that down into, I think, a very user-friendly synopsis of everything that was just discussed. So, gentlemen, if you want to come up.
I'm going to keep a little space
Yep.
between myself and these gentlemen. Just getting over something.
I try to give myself space from them sometimes, too.
It's good to be back before the council. I've reviewed the background to this bill and to your housing element and fair share plan process several times. But as I said last time I was here, for the benefit of both the council and certainly the public, I'll just review some of the basics that have gotten us to this point. The affordable housing process in New Jersey has been in play since the 70s with the Mount Laurel Doctrine. The process for a good amount of time was with a executive agency called COA. As of 2016, primary jurisdiction over municipalities' submissions for a stamp of approval that their proposed mechanisms meet the constitutional obligations to provide low and moderate income housing was shifted to the courts as of 2016. The legislature passed a bill in 2024 that shifted, that modified the approach slightly, keeping jurisdiction in the courts. However, the legislature established a mediation forum known as the Affordable Housing Dispute Resolution Program, by which a municipality could save a bit on legal bills and move through a process of mediation, affording developers, nonprofits to review a municipality's submission, to file any challenges. Ultimately, the goal is to obtain a compliance of a compliance certification, which is equivalent to a judgment of compliance or repose, that will give a municipality like the borough 10 years of immunity from builder remedy lawsuits. We have already established the borough's obligation for its present need, which is its rehabilitation obligation, and its prospective need being the new units that need to be provided for in the future. In the resolution adopted by this council setting forth its determination of its obligation, the borough reserved its right to take adjustments to its prospective need obligation. This goes back long and it's a long established, these are long established adjustments that recognize how much vacant land might exist in the town, and Mr. Cole will certainly go through that process. Ultimately, what we will do is file the housing element and fair share plan with the mediation forum through the court system this week. There will then be a challenge period that runs through October 31st for any builders, nonprofits to review that plan and submit any challenges. This is like every other municipality that's choosing to participate in this forum. As of August 31st, we'll know if there's been any challenges. Any challenges would need to be resolved by December 31st, either December 30th or 31st. I can't remember calendar, end of the calendar year. And then ultimately, the borough will have until March 2026 to enact any necessary ordinance to put in place its mechanisms for the fourth round. So that's where we're at, and that's the timeline going forward.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, so understanding the legal aspect of this, Michael. Michael is our municipal planner, and Mike, if you can kind of walk through where we started and how you ultimately came to the numbers that we have.
Thanks, Mayor. Good evening, Council. It's exciting to be here because it's been a long process, as we've discussed over the last 7-8 months. And we started with looking, the council, accepted the DCA's numbers in January, which was prospective need of 74, a present need, which is the rehab of 103. So we started with these numbers, and we used the tools that were in the fourth round and the third round and the interlining of the two, and basically went from 74 down to 22 because, as most know, the borough has very little vacant land left to put anything up. And then it came down to one parcel on Mountain Avenue. So that one parcel was using the regulations. A number was defined for that. I'm talking about the prospective need. So your fair share plan has 4 properties identified, one being on Mountain Avenue, one being the Grants Building, which you just saw the concept plan for. And yes, the fair share plan more than covers the concept because a lower number is used than what they're proposing in terms of apartments for the Grants Building. It also took advantage of the senior citizen building, which the borough was very proactive in the 70s, and that building's been around since 78 or so. And to this date, the borough's got no credit for it because of some issues with deed controls, affordability controls. So that'll be addressed in the fair share plan. So between those, then the other one was Bell Avenue, which we've had a concept planned, and that's for sale units. Well, we think so. So you have those 4 that covers the fair share plan. And then the rehabilitation component, which is the present need, it was handled, the borough took advantage of the windshield survey. And the borough's looking fantastic. Yes, there's some challenges, but in my 20 years, I've said this before, but I think the borough's never looked better in the last 20 years. From a windshield, which is a drive-by study, and it went from 103 to 40. And then there's a directive that Chris briefly talked about on the oversight that said you can use the windshield survey and mechanisms from round 3, which was done, and the 40 came to 27. Because it's a fancy way of saying the latest data says that in Somerset County, of the housing that needs to be rehabbed, which is the housing technically that has lacking complete plumbing or kitchens, 68% and change of that is occupied by lower moderate income individuals, families. So you put that factor in, you're at 27 and change, which is 27. So the present need addresses the 27 units in that plan. It also updates the housing element, which it's just remarkable. It's a lot of graphs, and it's not friendly to read. I know, I know. But it's just remarkable, the transformation in the borough using the census natives from 2015 to 2023. Over those 8 years, the median income in the borough went up $33,000. It's remarkable transformation in 8 years. And the number of housing units roughly went up by 800 units. So the borough is growing, has, I would call it, robust growth. Incomes are going up. The borough's plugging along, and this would address the fair share, which, as council's aware, I know the council's been looking for this for a few years now. So this was addressed, and it's a very exciting process.
All right.
I can go on more, but
So kind of condense all of that into I call it a short sheet. Colin's going to kind of review what the overall affordable housing plan is, just kind of bullet points of quick information so it's easily digestible for the public. So, Colin?
Thank you, Mayor. You have in front of you one of these cheat sheet, which tries to encompass everything that both Christopher and Mike have spoken about. And here it is again, but we'll get into it. Here's the timeline. If I go hoarse, I apologize. Allergies are running rampant right now. The timeline I won't spend too much time on because of the fact that Mike's explained the end result of that. So, here we go. We read in May the development fee ordinance, which was adopted, I believe, last meeting. But the process says we looked at a draft plan that Mike had put together after much. He lost all his hair doing this, by the way. He had hair at the beginning of it. So in early May, we did the draft of the plan to the Planning Board and Council. On the 14th of May, the Planning Board reviewed it. We did a public meeting on the 28th, and now we're at the public presentation for the final plan, and by the end of, we're on Monday, so Wednesday sometime, our plan will arrive at the DCA. And if it doesn't, we'll have to blame Christopher wherever he is. There he is. Okay, so Mike carried the ball with a lot of this stuff, and he researched a lot of data. Somerville Housing Authority, Somerville Senior Centre, the Housing Assistance, which is the county social services program, the DCA fire safety database, because it also lists low, moderate income housing in it. So we got a pretty good feel for what was going on. The data that we're using for Somerville, based on the 2023 census, is that there's 5,776 housing units, of which 5,600 are occupied right now. And the median household income for Somerset County is a little higher than this, but the median income for Somerville Borough by the Census Bureau 2 years ago was $103,896. So that's the median, and the median, as I illuminated to the Planning Board last week, is where, that's the baseline where we begin to look at moderate, low, and very low income, because they're all percentiles of the median income. So this goes into it a little bit more, because the HUD is the controlling body that comes up with all the numbers that we've worked off, and it's what the DCA took as well. And you'll see that the regional median income is $131,580. So that'll be the baseline for all the calculations that we use in the future. Now, moderate income is more than 50%, but less than 80% of the median. Low income is 50% or less of the median, and very low income is 30% or less. So when Mr. Klein mentioned $800 or $1,500 or the $2,000 or whatever it was, they're based on these percentiles. They can be for sale or for rent, and there's different percentiles for any development based on whether it's a for sale or it's a for rent. And that's also on the cheat sheet here, but if it's a for sale unit, and I've got to look it up myself to make sure I don't screw it up, 20% of the units, if they're for sale, must be set aside to meet one of those affordable housing targets. And if it's rental, it's 15%. And then when you dig down deeper, the moderate, low income, and very low form a proportion of whatever that percentile is. So I put a note in here, and for a very good reason. The borough complied with COA rounds 1, 2, and 3 through the market rate housing that existed each time those rounds were declared, so that the borough had no need to participate with deed-restricted housing through COA. That's no longer the case. It's a fact that with our success and with the building that we've seen, we've fallen out of that bucket into this bucket that now says we can do affordable housing. Now, the thing to remember more than anything else, that this is a 10-year program. So Mike mentioned that the DCA anticipated that the present need or that rehabilitation requirement was 103 units, but by the time the research was complete, it was 27. 27 units to be rehabilitated over 10 years is not a heavy lift, I think, for anyone. The prospective need started off at 74 and came down to 22 units to be provided through a variety of tools. It can be part of a development project. If it's not in a development project, it could be a contribution to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, which this council approved earlier on in the year, and would be used for rehabilitation or possibly even new construction or participation in construction. So we've also introduced a developer's fee, and that fee is to create any development of 5 units or more, correct, Michael?
Exclusionary ordinance, right.
Yeah, but just bear with me. We'll make a contribution to the trust fund to assist the borough fund any of these rehabilitations. I've lost my total train of thought. We've with the trust fund and with the prospective need, we have got a number of alternatives that we looked at and that are in the affordable plan. Residential units who want to rehabilitate can get funded through the trust fund. We want to encourage and will encourage the creation of a variety of other housing needs, such as veterans housing, handicapped housing, single head of household units, incubator housing, and one that seems to have everyone's attention right now is tiny homes, where you can build more than one on a regular building lot and create a community of either starter homes or homes for disenfranchised people at a reasonable rent. The cheat sheet shows exactly what we're going to do there, and really that's the end of it. It's a lot of work. I thought I'd be watching it on the screen, by the way, and I was reading it and I can't see it there. But the planning board has approved, and there is a resolution on the agenda tonight for the council to endorse the plan, and it will be sent to the DCA and the state hopefully tomorrow. That's really it. Now, if you've got questions, I'll try and answer them.
Yeah, so it's a good synopsis. Just a couple of comments before I open it up. It's a very large step that the borough is taking. It's a huge step. Not since the 70s when Section 8 came into Somerville and when senior citizens housing was built. This potentially has an even larger impact over the course of time. And we have tried to create that flexibility in the plan that allows future councils and future mayors to determine, and future planning boards to determine how best to approach this. And that's done through how will we obtain compliance. You saw that before. So you're looking at, there's a number of different options, and it can be one of those options or a portion of two or a portion of all. So you're looking at inclusionary, which means you comply by building, if it's a new project, your affordable units within that project. That's one avenue. An in-kind contribution to the Affordable Housing Trust. And that value is not determined or negotiated by the borough. It's actually set through, is it DCA, Mike?
I'm sure Chris could more detail, but it's by statute.
It's by statute. So it's a formula that's crafted, and it's not something negotiable by the borough in terms of what that amount is. Then there's rehabilitation of housing that's designated. So money that comes into the Affordable Housing Trust can be used for that rehabilitation, or let's say a developer acquires an off-site location and they want to rehabilitate. So there's a number of different mechanisms. Then also off-site construction, or a combination of all of them. That's the flexibility. It's not the flexibility of saying we want it or not, or the developer wants it or not. It's the flexibility of how we satisfy that total affordable housing component. And what's interesting, we even took it a step further. So as we're developing this, and we're developing our fee ordinance, so the affordable housing is for 5-unit or more developments. But what we saw was Somerville has a lot of smaller developments that go on, 4 units, 3 units, and it was a gap, and we were missing that gap. So our developer's fee ordinance also applies to those units that are less than 5. So we're capturing some of that because we want to be able to use, and again, that's statutory, it's not negotiated, it's statutory, and ordinance-driven. What that amount is, it would be a portion of whatever that affordable unit that's triggered behind it. But it then allows us that flexibility to do, maybe put in some tiny homes, maybe do incubator housing. And incubator housing is somewhat like what the hospital has. It's housing where people can come and live either rent-free or reduced rent for a specified amount of time till they can get their financial feet under them, and then they go. So it's a hand up, and it's a great opportunity to help somebody get back on their feet. So this is a really big step, and I think the planning board did an awesome job. The folks on the team did an awesome job. Glenn was on it. We have Lisa Werner and Jason Kraska here, chair and vice chair of the planning board, who were instrumental in this. Do you want to add anything to the whole covered?
I think you covered it very well.
All right. So questions from council?
So, yes, I do need clarification. I asked this question the last time, and I didn't get a clear answer. So now I see it in print. It says developers must set aside 20% for sale and 15% for rent of new construction. So I asked the question of the Granites building, how many units are going to be affordable? And they said, whatever it needs to be. So that means 15% of those apartments. But it also says here the developer's fee. So, or can he buy it out at $10,000 a unit?
No, it's not 10,000. That the fee is determined by a formula, and I can't recite the formula now. It's in the Fair Housing.
So the developer's fee does not apply just to under 5 units?
No,
Okay.
no.
So-
it's all inclusive.
So back to the math, right? So whatever the formula is, we let somebody pay, just use the $10,000 number for 35 units, so they pay $35,000 towards a low-income fund that's gonna provide almost nothing for affordable housing versus three and a half units in perpetuity that would provide low-income housing long-term at maybe an affordable rate of $800 to $1,500. So I don't see how that wins.
Chris?
Yeah, what I can speak to on this one aspect is a major element of the affordable housing bill this round was to create opportunities for towns to use to accomplish affordable housing and securing affordable housing into the future in many ways. One of those ways is to secure existing homes that might have in the past been affordable, but are now actually reaching a point where they're at market rates just unaffordable to people within the community. So one of the ways you can actually try to protect affordability in a municipality is by using funds that are using your affordable housing trust funds to deed control, to deed restrict properties that might be heading toward market rates.
Yeah, but that's different from what I'm asking.
Well, no, it's actually very much tied to what you're saying, in that the ability of a municipality to actually achieve any of that comes out of actually having monies in your coffers in your affordable housing trust fund. So if there are monies that are paid into that pot, they can be used by the municipality in lots of ways, including extending deed controls for existing residents. So there are a lot of mechanisms that are actually in play for a municipality by use of funds that are contributed. So there are certainly situations where a developer might elect to construct the affordable units. They might choose to make a contribution which is set through formulas that are in the
So I asked that the last time, what is the formula? What are we, how are we comparing this to our value for our community?
Yeah,
You know,
so-
15% of the units versus an undetermined formula we're asked to make a decision on.
So it's not an undefined formula, and what?
Well, no one's been able to explain it in a couple of meetings.
Well, the last time I was before you, you asked that question, and I told you I would get back to you. And what I can say is that the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls have long been in place, and they establish a formula, and they use the word shall. Municipalities shall utilize the formula set forth in the UHAC in setting forth
What's the math?
what I can
Can you back up from your microphone a little bit, Gina?
Yep.
Thanks.
I cannot stand here and recite to you every formula in the UHAC regulations. What I can represent is that the UHAC regulations set forth formulas. I am happy to deliver those to you after the meeting. I can send you the regulations, but there are, you had asked the question, and what I can answer is, can we shoot above these regulations? Municipalities are bound by the language in the UHAC, which identifies that the costs are to be calculated in accordance with the formula. So there isn't a lot of flexibility, but and one thing that I did note at the last meeting was that we've preserved in the language in the ordinance that the borough's payment in lieu structure would change should the UHAC be updated. And we know that regulations are forthcoming that will be modified at the state level. And so if those are modified, the borough will benefit and and there is language in place that ensures that we lock in future standards adopted by the state.
I don't know what that has to do with what we're voting on today. What I'm concerned about is that we are shortchanging our community if we allow a developer to come in at an undetermined formula and not pay their fair share. We're happy to have development in our community, but they also need to give back. And I don't understand what they're giving back at $10,000 per unit. 35 units times $10,000 is $350,000, right? What's the value of that over 3.5 units?
The 10,000, if I can, is the rehab number, that's minimum cost for rehabbing units. It's not for new.
Okay.
So I understand what you're saying. It's just, we have the present need, the rehab, which is 27. What the statute says is in round 3, COA said to get credit for those rehabs, you have to spend a minimum of $10,000 on each unit. That's what that 10,000 does not cover the new for sale units or the new apartments. Okay, that number.
So then the new apartments have this undetermined formula.
There's a formula in the
That
statute.
so the new apartments can still buy out of this, can still buy out of the 15%. Jason?
So, sorry, I just want to clarify something. So,
You want to come up and, yeah.
just to clarify, because I think I understand what you're saying. So the developer doesn't get to just decide that they're going to give X amount of money, whatever the formula is. I don't know it off the top of my head either. That is a negotiation with the council for each development. So if the Granites building, for example, needs to have 8 units or 6 units, whatever it is, and they want to do less than the 6 units, they have to negotiate that with the council. They don't get to just make the decision, I'm going to give a $35,000 per unit contribution.
And that's the flexibility.
That's the flexibility you guys have. You guys get to determine if, no, you want them to do the 6, or if there's a combination.
We just decided, or we decided with this formula?
No, you decide it on each individual case.
Yes, this is
Jay?
on case basis. So when
So then what does
developers
the
come-
formula have to do with this?
It's a formula established by the state
That
that
says-
says, in part, because I don't recall the formula either, but it brings the tax assessor into it, and each apartment has an equalized assessed value. And the contribution is negotiated from that equalized assessed value. The formula is in the plan, and I believe it may even be referred to in the inclusionary ordinance. But we can't remember those things. Not the formula per se, because it's not saying you're going to give us $200,000 per unit. It's
The
based
goal,
on-
well, I think what Gina's saying is correct me, I would never speak for you, but your concern is that a developer will get off on the cheap.
Well, yeah,
And so let me finish.
we'll get shortchanged.
So that is not the case. What the case is let's just use that project for example, 6 units. And if they came to us and said, we want to do 4, let's talk about how we can donate to the trust fund. So part of our goal is to create an affordable housing plan that has the funds in it to accomplish a number of different tasks. Not only providing for units in the new developments, but it also has the ability to fund rehabilitation, and it has the ability to potentially fund tiny homes, incubator housing, veterans housing. And you can't do that without having that flexibility. So we need funds coming in. The ultimate arbiter is this table. That is the control. So we are being fair, we are being thorough, and we are being very, strict isn't the right word, but direct with projects that come in. In addition, we saw the need to capture those units under 5 units, so 4 units or less, which goes well beyond what we have to do. We don't have to do that. But we see the value in doing that in order to be able to fund some of these other programs within affordable housing. So I understand the concern. I don't know that it's founded. I think it's.
I just want to understand it.
Yeah.
You know, and like I said, it's the second time, and no one seems to have the answer. So I understand the trust fund, if you want to call it that. I also think that we have to hold our developers accountable to contribute to our community.
And at the end of the day, I think to the mayor's point, that's the responsibility of this body. So if there's an issue going forward, it falls on this body. It's not the planning board, it's not the zoning board, it's not the environmental commission, it's not historic, it's not rec, it is the borough council. So if we feel as though something is not correct, it is our ability as a body to make that move forward or to change it. And along with these guidelines, it gives us, as the mayor was saying, the flexibility, but at the end of the day, it is this body.
And therein lies the power of this ordinance, in that it creates that flexibility for council to react to the needs of the community at that time. We've got 10 years. Things change very quickly in 10 years. So it gives the governing body the ability to determine how best to approach that formula behind affordable housing. So nobody's getting over on anybody. In fact, what we're doing is making it more strict, more restrictive.
I appreciate all the explanation, and hopefully the public understands as well.
Thank you.
I
Any
do
other
want to,
comment?
if I could jump in, I would say I'm happy to hear we're taking this historic step to set this up. I like the idea of the flexibility being built into this for choices. I also, share the concern that developers buying themselves out of the obligation, but I recognize to the points that have been made that the contribution to the fund will help us make that lasting impact in another way within our choosing to some degree, and give us a bit more control, not just about how they make the contribution to the fund, but also how that fund is then spent on making sure that that contribution is in perpetuity, some type of benefit for the community. So great work. Thank you guys for putting it in. Thank you for everybody who's taken the time on this. And I look forward to seeing how this matures as we go over it. So thank you.
Anybody else?
If I may, excuse me, through a lot of the discussion, There could be sort of what might be seen as the easy way, which is let's just build a building with 22 units and put a check mark, and we're done within a very limited amount of time. But the committee felt very strongly that that was not a proper solution for this town or this borough, and worked really hard to come up with these options so that we could make those lasting impacts that are different than just popping one building up and calling it a day. And I really hope that it will have that impact on a wider range of people than that single project would. So,
I agree. Good point. Yeah, very good point.
If I might add one last thing, I'm really happy we're not like other municipalities that are choosing to take somebody's land in order to solve this problem. I'm glad we're finding a way of doing this with developers, with our plan is kind of in sync with where the market may be or may be going, and it leaves a lot of choice and flexibility around that. Because I think some of those eminent domain issues that are being discussed are a little ridiculous that you would do that, and I'm glad we're not taking those same steps, to Glenn's point, to try and solve it in one foul swoop.
Anybody else? All right. If you guys would stay there, I'm just going to open up on this particular issue to the public in case the public has any questions on it. If there are any questions. Ma'am? Just please state your name and address for the record, and please address your comments to me.
My name is Elizabeth Sanchez. My address is Branchburg, 703 Branchburg. And I've been coming to the meetings here, but I went to the meetings over at the police department. And this developer already have 3 things that he done developed in Somerville. No affordable housing. So now, I don't know, this lady, this gentleman, and this gentleman, them two, and Miss Lady, and you, I've seen you before, and I've been in front of you before, okay? We've been trying to get affordable housing ever since the 80s in Somerville. I don't know what mayor, what councilman, okay, took it off the books to where the affordable housing is not in Somerville. You're running us out of here, okay? My family been here for years. Proctors, Hobbs, Millers, Bells, okay? Van Nesses, the whole Somerville, okay? And we've been trying to get affordable housing ever since the 80s. And you gaslighted David Stooks about, oh, well, we're gonna get these apartments over here, where that new development is at the grocery store, where ShopRite, that new development, David Stooks wanted to build some affordable housing over there. David Stooks wanted to build some affordable housing over here behind Hamilton Street, okay? And people gaslight him and say, oh, well, we're gonna do this for you and do that for you, and you lied.
I didn't lie.
Well,
I didn't lie.
In 2015,
You can't.
wait a minute.
No,
In
you
2000,
can't say.
wait a
No,
minute.
I'm going to hold you right there.
In 2015,
you cannot say that I lied.
when you were the mayor, this guy came from Cherry Hill and told you that if you didn't build any affordable housing in Somerville, you were going to be sued. And you left and went to be a freeholder. Now you're back. Now we're still talking about affordable housing.
So, ma'am,
Yes.
what we did, we just implemented an affordable housing program tonight.
Okay.
Well, I shouldn't say that. Last week we did.
Okay.
Tonight the council is just, they're going to take a vote to say, yeah, we agree with what the planning board did.
Okay, so how many apartments are we going to allow to have in affordable housing in Somerville? How many families then just ran out of Somerville about affordable
Ma'am,
housing?
please, don't, I don't operate that way, nor should you.
Well,
I
I'm
don't
just
like
telling
the
you,
threats. I don't like.
I'm not threatening you. I didn't threaten you. I'm just telling you what happened.
I don't like that. Making those claims, it's not right. It's
You
not
know
right.
what? If I would have known this was going to happen, I would have bought the paper where it says, and you know that the guy from Cherry Hill came here at the police department and said, no, it was at the church.
Okay, you're approaching your 5 minutes. So
Okay,
if you can,
it was at the church by the middle school. And he came and we had a dinner and they was talking about affordable housing. And they said,
I remember that well.
okay. So after that, you went to Freehold. The next mayor, thinking about no apartment buildings.
So,
Okay.
so just so you remember, to refresh your memory, in that meeting,
Mm-hmm.
Fair Share Housing, which is the advocacy group for all of New Jersey for
Right.
affordable housing,
Cherry Hill.
actually said Somerville is doing a good job. So with that,
Okay.
with that, I've got to cut you off because you
Okay.
hit your 5 minutes.
Okay. Somerville doing a good job. Well, I know this gentleman here has 3 other developments in Somerville that have no affordable housing, that he should have affordable housing in Somerville. So you want to cut me off?
I'm not cutting
No.
you off. We have a 5-minute time
Okay.
frame. And I will, just to advise, I don't believe this gentleman has any other properties in Somerville.
Excuse me. Don't you have some affordable housing in Somerville? Not affordable housing, apartment buildings. So who built Fairview? I mean,
All right, we have to cut this
Kirby.
off, ma'am.
Kirby.
Ma'am?
Who built Kirby?
Ma'am?
Who built right here? Okay,
Ma'am?
all right.
Ma'am, you've hit your 5 minutes.
Okay.
But I do thank you for coming out. I do.
And I'm praying that you give the affordable housing to people in Somerville, not people out of Somerville.
And this is what we just did tonight. We created affordable housing, an affordable housing program. Yes, yes. It's this, we created an affordable housing program tonight. Or we presented it tonight. It was approved last week. So, any other public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone.
Hi.
My name is Susan Hall. I live at 38 Second Street. I'm known for the cop caller. I call the cops for everything, and they come.
It's good to see you.
Yes, it's good to see you, Mr. Gow. I've been born and raised here. I'll be 57 years old pretty soon. The Dorsey's on 2nd Street. Dorsey's on Davenport Street. Vanessa's, Miller's, Proctor's, everyone. I do receive Section 8, and I've just been now awarded. I'm a grandmother, foster mother, and I don't want to move out of town with my Section 8. I need somewhere to go with my 3 granddaughters now, who will be attending Somerville school systems and the whole 9, like I did. I need to know where I can go to fill applications out. When you fill applications out, they're charging you for a background check. They're charging you for, what do you call it? My credit. My credit goes up and down. And with credit alone,
All
I
of our
can't
credit
afford.
goes up and down.
Yeah. But with credit alone, it's like they won't let me in there.
Yeah.
And then housing tells me they are my credit because they pay more of my rent and I pay a portion because I'm on SSI permanently. So I just need to know where do I go with 3 kids in order to stay in Somerville.
Well, and I think that's part of what we're trying to do with this affordable housing plan is to create different opportunities for people. As Councilman Denise said, we could have just put one building in and said, we're done.
You're right.
We don't want to do that. We want to create different opportunities. We want to create incubator housing to help people get on their feet financially. Veterans' homes, rehabilitate senior homes.
I agree.
And so we're trying to create this program that can touch all different facets and all different lives. I don't have a direct answer for you now. What I can say is you can always stop in and speak with Kevin, the administrator, in Borough Hall. We have a Section 8 housing program in Borough Hall.
Okay. Well, I'm a state Section 8. That's county.
He can connect you
Okay.
upstairs in Borough Hall.
Okay.
Without a doubt. And you know, I can't tell you we will help you, but we can get you to the people that can.
One more before I leave.
Yeah.
You have landlords in Somerville alone, private landlords who own 10 homes, 6 homes, and they're renting to Section 8 only. They're doing side deals, and that's a no-no. But they get the client.
It is a no-no.
Right.
Yes.
Black and white says it in the book.
Yeah.
But then you get the client who the landlord tells, oh, I know, just do it, you can do it, just give me $200 on the side. No one wants to be homeless, so you do it. But then you've been in a home 10, 15 years with a landlord, 20 years, and now you have to leave because you have mice and rodents in your ceiling, and now you're doing it to your ceiling just so you can go to sleep. I mean, my kids be fool about it, but It's serious. And then the landlord will get mad at you, and now you're not renewing my lease because I opened my mouth. That's not fair to me.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to live, because I'm on housing, I still deserve to live nice.
Yeah.
As long as I take care of that property.
Everybody deserves to live with dignity. And
Exactly.
I agree, yes. And that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you.
And to a point that was made before, about, creating housing for Somerville folks. Our senior housing used to be like that. The federal government said we can't do that anymore. We can't reserve it just for Somerville people,
Right.
which I think is a mistake. I think they should have a preference.
Yeah.
But, that's coming out of Washington from about 10 years ago. That change was made.
Okay, I'm learning.
Yeah, so am I. So, thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you.
Other public comment? Yeah.
Geraldine Freeman. I'm glad you're going to do affordable housing. It's time. When Manny Lovegrass was the mayor, they brought it to us because I was on council at that time. That's been years ago. My mother had put an article in the paper about affordable housing. And we got houses around here that have the big X on them. What are they going to do with this big X? They need to go. Things are changing. The world is changing. In Somerville, I'm glad you're starting to change because it's about time. It should not have taken this long to have affordable housing. And don't let them look like just, like you said, a tiny house. No, give them a house. You got a house, you got a big house, all of you have never had to go to welfare or anything, but you never know what's going to happen to you in life. Anything can happen. Your house can burn down, and then you're going to have a place to go. Anything can happen to you, any one of you. So I'm so glad you don't act like you are above everybody else, because this is the first time I come here and somebody's talking about really doing something. When my mother put that article in the paper, I think it was 119 affordable houses were supposed to be built in Somerville. Never got done. You push things to the side. It's time to get your junk out the side and start doing something. And I'm going to pray for all of you that stick to what you're saying. If not, I will be back.
And I know you will be. Thank you. Other public comment, just on this issue?
Yep.
State your name and address for the record.
John Hoffman, 23 North Orton Ave. It's been a while since I attended a meeting. I attended back in 22, June and October. And there was discussions about affordable housing at that meeting, okay? And the odd thing about it was the Borough Council actually brought in people to discourage affordable housing. People can go back to that meeting on YouTube. It was either in October or in June. I was at it, and I believe some of these ladies were at it, okay? And so that's, I don't know what's going on. I am very glad to see these people are finally, the town is getting some form of affordable housing. I don't know how out of 6,000 units, 22 is going to do anything for anybody, though. By the way, for decades now, all around us there's been affordable housing. My sister had a unit in Bridgewater in the 90s for sale. All around us for decades now. Somerville has been, at the 22 meeting, we were told that the existing stock covered everything, okay? What happened in Somerville was these luxury apartments drove everything up. Everything. Okay? The average tax bill is $11,000 for a home assessed at $275,000. For God's sake, there's so much that's wrong here. I said it in 2022. Nobody listened to me. And then the question I had in 2022, What happened to this ordinance? This, if anybody wants to go on the borough website, look up affordable housing.
Sir.
Tap in affordable housing.
Excuse me. Your comments come to me.
Okay.
They're not to the crowd.
Okay, all right. Calm down,
I'm-
okay?
I'm very calm.
Don't bang your gavel
I
yet
might.
or anything else.
I might.
So this ordinance, I'm sure you will. 102, Garden Apartment District. What happened to this? This is criteria for rental prices and everything. The revision date on it is 2003. So this has been around a long time. How did this get thrown in the garbage? That Somerville is supposed to have affordable housing units with rentals fixed and everything according to this ordinance that you people skip over.
Could you lower your voice, please?
Okay?
We're here having a
And
conversation.
I brought this up in 22.
Excuse me.
This is just the way I talk.
It's
Why
not-
are you interrupting me?
Because you're being loud.
I'm talking in my normal voice.
Well, I'm gonna
and
have-
you're talking over me
I am.
during the public portion.
I am.
I knew this was happening. That's why I haven't come to these
Okay.
meetings.
I'm going to give you one warning. All right?
Oh, Jesus,
I'm going to give you a
God
warning.
almighty. What
Excuse
happened
me.
to Garden Apartments
Excuse me.
Ordinance 102? Why
right,
does
that's
the
it.
borough not provide it? Oh, Jesus.
You're done.
God almighty.
You're done. Thank you, Mr. Hoffman.
silly.
I am. I'm very silly. Thank you. I'm a very silly man. Thank you.
No answers,
Thank you.
huh? Anybody going to
Thank
answer
you.
me? The attorney going to answer?
All right. One more outburst, I'm going to ask you to leave. Thank you. All right, let's go to committee report. Oh, sure. Come on up, sir. I'm sorry.
Hi, my name is Mark Panzik. I live in 21 Robeson Street.
Yes.
And yeah, I wanted to talk about this affordable housing plan. I don't personally qualify for affordable housing, but I've lived here for 10 years, and I've been thinking about investing in Somerville in, maybe a multifamily house, a small something. And, it's really hard to do because the prices are pretty high for, the housing. And, there's only so much rent you would charge, and, it has to be worthwhile, otherwise it's a bad investment. And, it's not just about money, but I was just trying to think about it from a different perspective. If I wanted to have an apartment with affordable housing, like as an investor, like what benefit would I get? Like, do I get a discount on tax? Is there like a fund that helps my mortgage? Like, I'm just trying to understand that part of it. Like, as like a small time person, not building a huge complex, how does that work for me? Thanks.
As an investor, is that you're saying?
Well, investor and, someone who even wants to live in that house, but maybe wants to have a 2-family or a 3-family unit. Yeah.
Yeah, can any of my professionals answer that? Do they want to answer it? And I will tell you that, and that's part of the reason why we have to create a plan that has a lot of different facets to it, because there is no one solid answer. With the cost of construction today, the cost of doing business, the cost of insurance, and the cost of taxes, affordable housing is not necessarily a money earner, but incorporating it into a larger project, now we can offset some of that. On the smaller projects, if you have a 4-family, and I can tell you, I have a form for a deed restriction here. And if anybody wants to deed restrict their home for affordable housing and file it with the county, they can. What will that do to your piece of property going from, let's say it's a 2-family and you want to deed restrict 1 unit? It ultimately will diminish the property value a little bit because there is not enough earning potential then behind it. So that's why we're beginning to shift it to, or I should say the state shifted it to larger developments, 5 and above, but we saw an opportunity to capture some of that funding to create some of those opportunities at the lower levels as well. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's there. I will tell you, if we were to do, let's say, a 40-unit affordable housing complex, there are enough grants out there, low interest, no interest loans, in order to fund that, to make it affordable and allow an investor to have that type of property and earn a profit. But absent that, you know, as an individual investor, I don't know what to tell you. I can't give you financial advice.
That's fine. Yeah, but I appreciate the explanation. You know, I just wanted to make sure that that sort of perspective was captured in the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other public comment on this issue? All right. Hearing none, we'll close that portion of the public comment. And we'll go into committee reports. Andrew.
The Historic Advisory Committee is meeting before the end of the month to continue to discuss a few opportunities for grants and our rollout of our historic map and plaques that'll note all the plaques and historic sites in town. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that roll out so folks can begin to visit those this summer. There's also going to be some displays that are going to be put up that are historic in nature for folks to be able to take pictures with. So maybe a little Instagram spot for folks when they come to town to take a photo with some of our, let's say, historic residents, or at least what they would have looked like back in the day. So just wanted to share that with everyone.
Great. Thank you. Gina.
Saturday, I was at the Somerville Rescue Squad helping pack boxes for their move to their new home on West End, the former firehouse. So that move is imminent. And they were so busy with calls on Saturday morning. It was really a busy day, and a tribute to the good work that they do and the time they give. As far as the Board of Health is off for the summer, but they are entertaining a few projects, and including working on some community health programs. And then earlier today, I came from Raritan Valley Country Club, where our Hall of Fame at Somerville High School had their annual fundraising tournament, a golf tournament, and I just think that they do a great job for our student athletes, benefiting scholarships and programs for our student athletes. So kudos to our Hall of Fame committee for the good work they do in our community.
Great. All right. Thank you, Gina. Glenn.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. The Environmental Commission, we met last Tuesday. We discussed things like how to expand tree replacement programs due to such a high demand. We're looking forward to the council's support for the Skip the Stuff program in the future. We talked about maintaining our rain gardens at Carol Pager Park, and we had some volunteers do the work on that, and we'll continue to maintain and keep the weeds out of that one. We've been using our community garden. In fact, we had our first Girl Scout program. Melissa from the Green Team helped lead a workshop there. And then also, it's not quite officially summer yet, but we're already starting to think about National Night Out on August the 5th. So hopefully we'll see you there and many other organizations. And also, all the way in September, we'll be hosting a seminar called Climate Proofing Your Backyard. So stay tuned for information about that as we get more. That's hosted with the Native Plant Society. Our meeting will be here at on July 8th at 7 o'clock, just in a little over a month, or a little less than a month. I also had the privilege of meeting with the Tour of Somerville Committee. We had a follow-up to the festivities and everything else. And they would like to extend their thanks to the Borough and everyone else for all their support, DPW and Fire and Rescue, everybody who lent a hand to make Memorial Day such a successful event. Early estimates have it at maybe somewhere around 15,000 people came downtown, which is great. Looking forward to get some more official numbers on that. And they've already started looking forward to next year to make the 81st one at least as memorable or even better than the 80th. So
Awesome.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you. You guys can actually, you don't have to stay at the table. Thank you. Yeah. Teresa.
Thank you. So last Thursday, the 12th, the Municipal Alliance and Youth Services Commissions met, and we got a presentation from a representative from Arrive Together, which is an organization that is funded by the state to have a mental health professional ride along with a designated police officer to possibly help diffuse situations if someone is in crisis. And we're in consideration of possibly trying to get that for Somerville. It's, you know, in negotiations and talks, and it might be something that the Municipal Alliance and Youth Services Commission could help to fund as well. And then this coming Thursday is the Public Safety Committee meeting at 6 p.m. here at the Civic Center. And like I mentioned earlier in the year, this year is for talking about pedestrian and traffic safety with the Public Safety Committee. So we are in the process of looking at a couple more intersections that have issues with accidents and visibility, and we'll be discussing that this week at 6, and public is welcome. So please come to the meeting if you have questions or concerns about pedestrian safety or any other safety issues in Somerville. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Randy?
I have no announcement regarding police or DSA for tonight's meeting.
Okay, Roger?
All right. So for rec, the pools are expected to be open on Saturday, June 21st, pending some final touches that need to happen. So keep on the lookout from rec. They will be sending out an email to confirm. Also, the 10th annual Somerville 5K Turkey Trot is now open for registration. So it's going to be a great year this year. This is the 10th running. And I know that the committee and the rec department are looking to make it a special one. So if you can come out and support right now, early bird pricing is until the 31st. My son, instead of having his dinner tonight, was on the website registering because he's looking forward to getting out there and running with everybody, all his classmates. It's really a sight to behold on Thanksgiving morning. A lot of groups are represented. They wear crazy costumes. It's really a nice way to have some fun before the festivities. Earn some of those calories back before the night. So SomervilleTurkeyTrot.com is where you can go to register. Proceeds directly benefit the recreation programs, events, and our facilities. Are you going to talk about that? No, you can. Okay. Unfortunately, we had a terrible incident occur in the Borough this week. This happened this past Wednesday. There was a fire in town. Station 57 and 52 were both dispatched to a private dwelling on West Spring Street for smoke from the residents. The chief arrived on the scene and was met with smoke from the eaves of the residence, appearing to be coming from the basement. Our first alarm box was transmitted. Crews were able to find the seat of the fire in the basement and able to get it controlled and extinguished. We did rescue 2 cats from the residence, so that was a great positive. There were none of the residents were harmed in the fire. Putting that out, great work by all involved. Obviously, our partners with Somerville Rescue Squad, Somerville Police Department, Somerville Fire Prevention, Raritan 52, Findren 30, Somerset Fire, Volunteer Fire, Lions came out, North Branch Fire 49, Hillsborough 37, Boundbrook, and Green Knoll 34. All came and answered the call and helped Somerville put out this fire. Again, you never know when it's going to strike. You never know what's going to happen. There was a lot of community out there showing their support of the residents. And again, the residents were safe. They were able to make it out, and the fire department was able to make a great stop. No other dwellings were involved. So thank you to all the volunteers. Thank you to the chiefs. Thank you to everybody who came out to extinguish this fire. It was great work done by everyone.
Well said. They did a great job. Thank you. All right, at this point, I will ask for a motion to open the meeting to the public.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Councilmembers Teresa Bonner,
Yes.
Andrew Conti,
Yes.
Glenn Denny,
Yes.
Randy Pitts,
Yes.
Tina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom.
Yes.
All right, public portion is now open.
Time for you to shut me down again. That comment was to you.
All the comments come.
John
from-
Hoffman, 23 North Lawton Ave. I'd like to get an answer on that question I asked it 3 years ago. What happened to the Garden Apartments ordinance? The Garden Apartments are supposed to be Somerville's workforce housing. There's an ordinance on the books that states it, okay? What happened to it? Okay, I asked it 3 years ago. Now I got to get off of that. I'm really here because I had a neighbor, Matt Robichon, at 22 North Richards Ave, come in here and state that I am causing a rat infestation in my neighborhood. Nothing could be farther from the truth. It was very ignorant and irresponsible. What's even more ignorant and irresponsible is the Board of Health and the supposed code enforcement person, Brian Blute. I have been battling an overgrown rat-run property with Brian Blute since September. Mr. Robichon he mentioned his name, I mentioned mine, so everybody knows. I do not live behind him. He lives kind of a little off on an angle. He came here, said he has thousands of peanut shells in his yard and a rat infestation.
Can you come to a point here?
I am. I have 5 minutes. Will you stop being so rude to me?
You do
How
not.
can you cut me
Excuse
off and
me.
be rude to me like this all the time? This is a public meeting, and I'm at the microphone telling a story.
That's it. You're done.
I'm taking to social media.
Awesome. I love
You
it.
are the worst thing that ever happened in this town. You are a crumb and a liar.
Okay, that's wonderful.
Hey,
thank you very
how
much for your
did that
comments.
public safety building cost
Officer,
in the end?
can you escort this man out, please?
$100 million. You're wasting taxpayer money. Don't touch me. Don't touch me. You're a bunch of clowns and scumbags.
Well, that was interesting.
I always enjoy visits.
It's you can have disagreements with the public, and that's okay. You know, people can come up and they can disagree with the council, but there's really no reason to be rude, disgusting, and out of hand. This is an opportunity to articulate your position on things, and I think the council has been, thank you very much, officer. I think the council is very patient with a lot of folks that come up, and we will afford anybody the opportunity to come so long as they are not rude and obtrusive and cause an issue. So, any other public comment? Because I'm sure it won't go the way that just went. Sir, yes.
Hi, it's Mark Panzik again, 21 Robeson Street. Yeah, so earlier today, I heard of a proclamation for the LGBT month. And, you know, I understand this is an important issue for the town, but I also think that, you know, in the spirit of unity, there's actually a lot of other things that this month stands for. I just did a quick look online that it's, you know, National Portuguese Heritage Month, National Caribbean American Heritage Month, National Homeownership Month. I won't read the whole list. But, you know, one that's, you know, important to me is also that it's the month of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And so, not to make this, you know, religious or political or anything like that, but, you know, I do think that it would be nice to maybe show attention to maybe these other attributes, and maybe even think about when we decorate for June, to have some of that incorporated into it. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to close.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? Roll call.
Council members, Teresa Bonner,
Yes.
Andrew Conti,
Yes.
Glenn Denny,
Yes.
Randy Pitts,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Firm.
Yes.
Okay, public is now closed. To your point, sir, just to let you know, we do get a number of requests for proclamations for various different issues. And if one is sent in, it will be evaluated by myself or the council president, or the council will bring it to us. And, you know, invariably, we will issue a proclamation. We've done it for Motorcycle Day, Motorcycle Safety Awareness Day. So there are a number of different other opportunities to do just that. So, thank you. Okay. Ordinance for introduction, number 2766, is amending Chapter 102-4 of the Borough Land Use and Development Code, Article 2, entitled Definitions, Section D, creating a definition of deck and identifying the improvement coverage for decks. Just kind of an overview. We had great discussion on pools and decks for a previous meeting. And it seemed that everybody was okay with the deck portion of it, which kind of eliminated at least a 10-foot by 10-foot area of a deck from the impervious coverage, provided that they met, I think it was a 1/4-inch gap between the boards. So we kind of spliced the two and just took the pool out of it to allow the deck portion to remain. So I will ask for public comment first on 2766. Hearing none, I'll close public comment, and I'll ask for a motion for introduction.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Go ahead, Jim.
So it's not just removing the pool, but other impervious coverage items as stone patios, driveways, et cetera?
mean, my read of this is that the only exemption we're voting on here or including in this is that the first 100 square feet of the deck, and then after that, there's a calculation for the next 50%.
Correct.
Of that. Okay. My only comment and question on this is, I think the original version of this we saw included some language that specified that as long as the deck isn't built over a non-pervious surface already, like, so if you have a concrete
Yeah.
patio and then put a deck on it, I don't, this shouldn't necessarily, I would hate for it to contribute
Yeah.
to runoff for neighbors.
I
That's my-
agree. I think that was, so this may be a version prior to that final version, yeah.
Yeah, so whatever final version of this we'd see, I'd like to see
Yeah,
revised
so-
to make sure we clarify that non-pervious.
No, it's a good catch. I think just, so, yeah, so non-pervious underneath.
Got it.
Okay.
I just had the simple edit that it has in the definition of improvement coverage, it goes into decks and then see below, which of course it defines, but then it lists pools, et cetera, except as outlined below, and I think that was part of the old one that just needs to be struck.
We'll strike that.
Okay. Further discussion? Roll call.
All right. Council members, Teresa Bonner,
Yes.
Andrew Conti,
Yes.
Glenn Dene,
Yes.
Randy Pitts,
Yes.
Gina Stravic,
Yes.
Roger Vroom.
Yes.
All right, consent resolutions. Any coming off for further discussion?
173.
Okay. All right, 162 is approving ABC license to be submitted to the ABC for 25-26. 163 is approving annual renewal of amusement and video game licenses for 25-26. 164, approving annual renewal of taxi driver's licenses. 165 is approving the annual renewal of taxi owner licenses. 166 is approving the annual renewal of wrecker and towing licenses. 167 is authorizing a contract with Millennium Communications for door access control as detailed in the proposal in the amount of $8,160. 168 is authorizing the clerk to execute an agreement and all related documents from the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities for Community Energy Plan in the amount of $10,000. 169 is adopting the 25 Somerset County Hazard Mitigation Plan. 170, authorizing payment to Dennis Manning upon execution of release and amendment of chief contract. 171 is approving the Volkswagen Club to utilize parking spaces in front of the historic courthouse as noted. 172 is approving Chapter 159 for State of New Jersey Clean Communities Grant. 174, authorizing the purchase of two 2025 Ford Police Interceptor utility all-wheel drive vehicles as noted. 175 is authorizing the execution of a shared service agreement transportation for Somerset County. 176 is authorizing the purchase through Nielsen Ford for a 25 Ford Police Interceptor utility all-wheel drive vehicle as noted. 177 is approving the hiring of lifeguards for 25 pool season. 178 is approving a mural to be painted on the Carol Pager Snack Shack. 179 is approving employee appreciation and recognition event to be held at Carol Pager Park on Green Street, Friday, September 26, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. 180 is endorsing the housing element and fair share plan dated May 19, 2025, approving a draft ordinance implementing the borough's inclusionary zoning mechanism in connection with said plan and authorizing the submission of said plan and materials to the Affordable Housing Dispute Resolution Program. Do we have a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Council members, Teresa Bonner,
Yes.
Andrew Conti,
Yes.
Glenn Dene,
Yes.
Randy Pitts.
Yes.
Gina Stravic.
Yes.
Roger Vroom.
Yes.
All right, 173 is authorizing and supporting a grant application to be submitted to the New Jersey Transportation Authority 2025 Planning for Emerging Centers Program for a Somerville Raritan Connectivity Plan. Do we have a motion?
So moved?
Second.
Discussion.
Interested to know, Kevin, what this is about?
So this is something that came out of the Regional Center Partnership. The Transportation Planning Authority, the TPA, is having a grant program for centers. And going back probably about 10, 12 years, a plan was done by the county in conjunction with Somerville, Bridgewater, and Raritan for connectivity, pedestrian connectivity, bicycle connectivity. And what we're doing is trying to take that plan to the next level and create, we have this great moat, this big divide of 206, and it's very difficult to cross if you've ever been on a bicycle or on foot, whether you're crossing at Orlando or crossing at Somerset Street. It's dangerous. So this is a grant to try from an engineering standpoint in unison with Raritan to see how we can connect the two communities better at both of those locations.
Exciting. A few years ago, I also sat on a committee for the Recreation Department, whereas we had the National Park Service come in, and they did a study and a recommendation as well. And we have that, so I think it's important that we tie that in should we get this grant. And even if we don't get this grant, we do have an access to across 206, the bridge, and it kind of dead ends there. But I think the important piece is that we also need to use the Greenway as a means to attract tourism to Somerville. You know, come to Somerville, ride your bike through town, eat at our restaurants, walk our streets. And part of when I sat on the committee a few years back with the National Park Service, some of the solutions were very simple, like signage, bike racks along the Greenway, signage that points to downtown and different venues. So whether we get this grant or not, I think that we should look to implement some very small things and work with the DSA to see that we can mobilize. Between just our internal groups, we should be able to do something in town, and also using that bridge across 206, working more directly with Raritan.
Yeah, I agree, and that's some of the discussion we've had, that, you know, you can actually ride a bike over to Duke Estate from Somerville, and there's not a whole lot of people that are aware of that. So part of this whole connectivity, again, whether it's down underneath the 206 bridge, whether it's Orlando or whether it's Somerset, it's creating those linkages between our two communities, because we're very similar, and we have the ability. They have assets that we don't have. We have assets they don't have, and we're trying to improve that. So, roll call.
Council members Teresa Bonner?
Yes.
Andrew Conti?
Yes.
Glenn Denny?
Yes.
Randy Pitts?
Yes.
Tina Stravic?
Yes.
Roger Vroom?
Yes.
Okay. Roger, bills and vouchers.
I make a motion to pay bills and vouchers in the amount of $894,922.24.
Second?
Discussion. Roll call.
Council members Teresa Bonner?
Yes.
Andrew Conti?
Yes.
Glenn Denny?
Yes.
Randy Pitts?
Yes.
Tina Stravic?
Yes.
Roger Vroom?
Yes.
All right. Mr. Denis, I will ask for a motion for adjournment.
I move that we adjourn.
Second?
Discussion. Roll call.
Council members Teresa Bonner?
Yes.
Andrew Conti?
Yes.
Glenn Denny?
Yes.
Randy Pitts?
Yes.
Tina Stravic?
Yes.
Roger Vroom?
Yes.
I was in the rhythm. Sorry. This meeting is adjourned.
Aye.